As the year comes to a close, the legislators in Madison are debating how to spend the state's multi-billion-dollar budget surplus. To break down what Republicans and Governor Evers are after, here's CBS 58's Emilee Fannon and WisPolitics editor J.R. Ross in tonight's Capital Connection.
Monday's deadly school shooting has renewed the debate here at the state capitol over our current gun laws and school safety measures. But when in reality, JR, when it comes to reforming any gun legislation or passing anything, it's not going to go anywhere due to Republican opposition. On the other hand, when it comes to enhancing school buildings, investing in more active shooter drills, that is something that Republican leaders told me this week that they're willing to invest in. And the main reason is because Wisconsin's Office of School Safety right now, their funds are set to expire in September. And if they don't get any additional funding in the next state budget, they could close their doors. Well, it seems like there's going to be some compromise on that issue to invest roughly about $2 million to keep this office afloat.
Look, Emily, it dawned on me this week that my youngest was in kindergarten for Sandy Hook and a senior for a shooting just on the street from his high school. In between, nothing's really changed when it comes to gun laws in Wisconsin. Actually, there's been repeal of things like a waiting period for handguns. Otherwise, we've seen nothing to address the situation from that perspective. But we have seen Office of School Safety. We've seen talk about mental health. So those are the vehicles that are possible, because if you talk gun control, that conversation ends almost immediately in the state capitol. That's not going to happen anytime soon. So yeah, those might be avenues. But as far as like make big changes, I don't expect any next session of the legislature.
Also heading into the holiday weekend, this is the time that us reporters sit down with legislative leaders, talk about their priorities heading into 2025. And really what the big question is, it's a $4 billion question. What to do with the state surplus that is sitting at $4 billion? Tax cuts, tax cuts, tax cuts are Republicans' priority. Meanwhile, you hear from Democrats, education, child care. But whether we can find a compromise on tax relief is the biggest question, because it's almost going to maybe be deja vu like last year, where there's numerous plans out there and nothing gets done.
Look, it's all posturing right now. Not to be a cynic, but I kind of am one. I've seen this dance before. They're all laying down markers of what they want to do. The question has become what they can do once you get final numbers. Remember, we've seen numbers from the Evers administration of a $4 billion projected surplus. The Fiscal Bureau, which is an arm of the legislature, will have a new round of numbers in January. The governor will have his budget out sometime in February. The conversation really begins. This week, Robin Vos said he wants to do a retirement income tax cut, right? Below $75,000, not for millionaires and billionaires. It's the smarter idea. Devin LeMahieu wants to attack the second highest of the four brackets we have for income, saying that that's a cross generational lines. It's more broad. It's where you have to go. Governor Evers has said, quite frankly, I'm the governor, they're not, so I'll have a say in this. Again, it's a lot of posturing. My question, though, is Robin Vos has set a red line of, if you look at that surplus, about $2 billion of it's from a tax cut that Republicans passed in this last 2-year period that Evers vetoed. He said he will not spend any of that anything other than a tax cut. Okay, does he hold to that? And then two, the Senate's going to be fascinating. It was 22-11 Republican in this current session. It goes to 18-15 the next one. During this session, they struggled on big bills. The Brewer Stadium maintenance, for example, getting things done. Okay, now at 18, you can only lose one member of that caucus and get something without Democratic votes. That's going to be a needle to thread. I asked LeMahieu, okay, you're going to pass a budget with 17 GOP votes? He said, yes. I'm like, how? He goes, it's December.
Exactly.
So we'll see. He's got time to figure that out.
Right, and the devil is always in the details, right? You know, they say they all have these big ideas of what they want to do. LeMahieu and Vos also told me they want to spend roughly about $2 billion of the $4 billion surplus. Well, let's see what you actually put out there, because for Democrats, they have always said that they want targeted tax relief to the middle income earners. Last time, some of the few tax packages that Republicans have introduced in the past, they are targeting, you know, some of the most wealthiest individuals, giving them bigger tax breaks, you know, compared to everyone else down the line. And
Republicans are taxes, taxes, taxes. Democrats are education, education, education.
Right.
So there's your big conflict next session.
Right, and we're not going to look ahead to next week. We're going to more look ahead to next year, because every time around this time period, there's always a debate around medical marijuana, because we know every year Republican lawmakers get closer and closer to the idea. But when it comes to the dueling plans we saw in the Senate and the Assembly last year, they just can't come to an agreement about how it would be even distributed, right? State-run dispensaries. That's something that Assembly Speaker Robin Vos wants. Meanwhile, that's a non-starter for Senator LeMahieu.
Vos opened this door, it seems like 8 years ago. The first time he said he's open to medical marijuana, saying it could be a replacement for opioids, which are highly addictive. Every session since then has been, okay, are you still going to try it? Yes. The Senate says we're not interested. Then there's a little bit of movement here. We're not interested. This time, this past session, it was state-run dispensaries or not. Republicans in the Senate say that opens the door to growing government. Republicans in the Assembly say we have to have state-run dispensaries because that makes sure we're not getting the private sector, which would then go for full legalization. Both say they want recreational marijuana legalized. They can't agree how to get their medicinal. It's not going to happen this session, barring some miraculous breakthrough that we haven't seen in 8 years between the two chambers.
It's likely the plan will be up in smoke.
Oh.
All right, that will do it for this week. Thank you so much for joining us.